Hello everyone, my name is Anna from BookSawyer, and today you are watching the second of my 2 recent reads videos. So just to catch you up, if you haven't watched the first recent reads video, you don't have to watch it because it's separate books in each video, but I took a very long leave of absence from BookTube, and during that time I read a lot of books, of course, and so I just kind of wanted to go over some of the books that I've read. This 1 and 2 recent reads videos are just the books I read at the first 4 months of 2018 or first 5 months of 2018, so I just wanted to go over that and just kind of talk about these books a little bit. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first book I wanted to talk about was a book that I DNF'd, but I actually have really no ill feelings towards it. It is Nemesis by Brandon Reich. I'm really sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I borrowed this book from my school's library, and so that's why I don't have a physical copy of it, not because I unhauled it. The reason why I got this is because it sounded kind of interesting, the cover looked interesting, so I picked it up, but I realized that it is more, you might have read this and not thought it was scary, but I get scared of a lot of things, and I just didn't want to put myself through reading, because I'm not really into horror, and I just didn't really want to put myself through reading a book that I thought was really going to scare me, and so I decided not to read it and not to finish it. So that it has nothing against the book or Brendan, but because the writing of the book was pretty good, I'll give it that. So if you like that, this might be a book that you might enjoy, but it just wasn't for me, so I just didn't see a point in finishing it and putting myself. So the first book that I actually finished and I want to talk about is Dear Vanhansen by Vala Emmett with the help of Benji Pasek, Justin Paul, and Stephen Levinson, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. I am going to completely be upfront and honest about this. I am a little bit biased when reviewing this. If you don't know, one of my earlier videos was me reviewing the script of Dear Vanhansen because they came out with the script for fans of it. And so I love the musical. The soundtrack is so phenomenal. Obviously, I'm a theater kid, and any time they incorporate my 2 favorite things in the world, theater and books, with each other, of course I'm going to love this. I already love Dear Vanhansen, the story, and so I know that a lot of people gave this novel maybe a 3 stars, even some people DNF'd it, but I genuinely loved this book. So if you don't know what Dear Vanhansen is about, the whole premise of the story is based off a plot twist, but I will say there is a trigger warning for suicide and anxiety disorders in this novel, and so I want you to just know that, and also depression. So if you are triggered by any of this may not be a novel or musical you want to check out. But basically, the novel follows the story of a teenager named Vanhansen who has severe social anxiety, and his therapist recommends him as a coping method to write letters to himself saying why today is going to be a great day. And again, the kind of entire plot of this contemporary novel is based off a plot twist, so I can't really tell you, but it is about Evan kind of getting caught in a web of lies based around the real want to feel loved. And I think this novel is so phenomenal. I think it's really beautiful and unique. There's really no other musical or novel out there like this, or at least to my knowledge, and so I did really think it was unique and wonderful, and I do think that you might like it if you pick it up, so go ahead and pick it up. It was a really great novel. So now we're going into not so fun territory. So the next book that I want to talk about is The Proposal, and I'm going to butcher your name, I'm so sorry, by Jasmine Guillory. I'm really sorry that I keep pronouncing people's names wrong. I'm just gonna get it. I gave this novel a 2.25 out of 5 stars. And that's above a 2 star, so it's not horrible, because this novel does have some redeeming qualities. The actual premise of the novel really intrigued me. That's why I picked it up. But for me personally, I'm just going to be upfront. For me personally, this novel wasn't my cup of tea. It is an adult romance novel, and that's not exactly my thing. I love romance, but it had a little bit more inappropriate scenes, I'm gonna say, than I would like in a novel. I felt like getting more into the novel once we got a good ways through it, there was a lot more of that than I expected. In reading the synopsis after I've read it, I can kind of see why I should have expected it, but I just didn't for some reason. So that's on me, but also that is just a personal gripe with it. But also, I just felt like the relationship between the 2 main characters wasn't that great. Maybe I was just annoyed with it, with my own personal values, I guess, or maybe it just wasn't for me. Maybe I just don't like it for personal reasons. But also I kind of felt like the novel dragged on a lot. This is like a really long, almost 300-page romance novel, and you know, that's like a pretty good length for a book, but I just felt like really this book dragged on a lot, and there are a lot of words on every page. That's really not a good example, but there are a pretty good amount of words on every page, and so it just really, I felt like it dragged on, and again, I felt like there was more inappropriate scenes than was necessary, and the actual premise of the proposal that happens, which, just by the way, I didn't even summarize the novel. The novel follows the story of Nicole, who has been dating this kind of almost celebrity kind of guy for a while, and he proposes to her in a very public setting, and she does not like him very much, and that is really awkward. But I also felt like the novel was really repetitive a lot. There was like 5 different times that Nicole was talking to different people about what happened to her, and it was like the characters always were asking the same questions, and it's like, it's so annoying. Like, you could have just said, I told them the thing again, and would have been the point. I just didn't really enjoy this novel, but I do think that I haven't read her first book, The Wedding Date, and you don't really have to, I don't think, but I think this follows like one of the side characters. Maybe if you liked that novel, you might enjoy this novel a little bit more, but I just don't think the quality of the novel was right for me. So yeah, but you might enjoy it. So the next book I want to talk about is a book that I borrowed from my school library, so I don't have a physical copy of it, but a lot of you are going to be so confused as to why I didn't read this novel earlier, but I finally read City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. I already own, if you saw my Easter book haul, City of Ash by Cassandra Clare, or City of Ashes, sorry, it's right there, so I just looked at it, but it's City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare, which is the second novel in the Royal Instrument series. I haven't read it yet, but I can't wait to read it. I gave this novel 5 out of 5 stars, but it is more of 5 out of 5 stars that is a book that I thought was really good, but I still have a couple of problems with it. I can acknowledge that it isn't like the best book ever, if that makes sense. It's not perfect, but I genuinely enjoyed it, and I thought that it was overall still a great book. I do think that there are some moments where Clary was a little bit annoying, but honestly, in the general scheme of things, it just didn't bother me enough to really think that I needed to dock points for anything, I guess. I just really enjoyed the novel, so if you didn't know it, it's kind of hard to summarize because it is just this epic Shadowhunter world, but it is basically about a girl whose name is Clary, and she discovers these people that regular people can't see, but she can see them, and her mother one day gets kidnapped, and she kind of is kind of thrown into this new world. I guess that's a really horrible summary of the novel, but it's so hard to summarize. It's just so good, and there's so much going on. So I just really think you should read it if you haven't, and I know a lot of you have probably read it because the Mortal Instruments and the Shadowhunter world is just a very popular world and series on this platform, so I know a lot of you have probably read of it or heard of it, but if you haven't, I would really recommend you checking it out. So the next book that I want to talk about is not only my favorite book of the year so far, but it's also my favorite book of all time right now, and so I read The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith for the first time this year, and this is an older book. It came out in either 2017 or 2018, and I was absolutely blown away by this novel. This novel, trigger warning for sexual assault, rape, and also just a warning that there is quite a bit, not quite a bit, but there is a couple parts in which Eden either talks about or experiences kind of some inappropriate stuff, and as you know, when I was talking about the proposal, that's not exactly my thing, but obviously with the fact that I gave this book 5 stars and absolutely love it, it wasn't in there so much that I was really bothered by it, but just a note for you just to kind of know about that, I guess. But so this follows a story of Eden, who was raped by her best friend's brother when she was in her own house when she was a freshman in high school. And so this novel follows Eden through her 4 years of high school as the 4 different parts of this book as she's kind of coping with it. I really do think The Way I Used to Be is a very important novel, even for people that don't like haven't experienced it, or even if you have experienced it, I do think that this novel, as long as you're not triggered by it, I think can be a really either way to cope with it, or a way to see yourself in literature, or a way to kind of understand, because I really do think that this is a very raw depiction of such horrible trauma, and I do think anyone that's been through a trauma of some sort, whether it be this specific event, could really find something out of this novel, again, so long as it does not bother or trigger you in any way, because the way that you see Eden kind of grow and change, and the way that it impacts her, is really heartbreaking. And I do think that a lot of people from a multitude of different situations will really be able to kind of see themselves in her. So I do think that this novel is really beautiful, and I'm so glad that I read it, and I'm really glad that it exists. So the next book I want to talk about is one that was not that great. Just calm down. So I read Alex and Eliza by Melissa de la Cruz, which I gave it 2.75 out of 5 stars, and that's being a little bit generous in my opinion. So there's a lot of things that bothered me about Alex and Eliza, but I'm going to summarize it and then talk about the positive parts before I go into that parts. So Alex and Eliza basically follows the story of Alexander Hamilton and Eliza Schuyler. It is a trilogy that kind of follows their romance, but this is about them meeting and kind of the early stages of them knowing each other. So just to let you know, this is what that specific book follows. So I'm obviously not going to spoil anything in this review, but there are a lot of things throughout the novel that really bothered me. Just to start out with the good things, I really do enjoy learning about these two people. Eliza Schuyler is probably my second favorite, or in my top kind of historical figures that I do like to learn about a lot. So I really do think that this novel, if you do enjoy Hamilton the musical or not, which, spoiler alert, I have not listened to every single song from Hamilton yet. I've only listened to 2 of them, but I'm going to make a video in the future of me listening to Hamilton for the first time. Comment below if you want that, because I kind of really want to do that video. But this is a novel. I do think if you like Hamilton, you might enjoy it, but I do think it was written just as kind of a way to cap in on the Hamilton hype, because the writing quality of this novel was not my favorite. I know that Melissa de la Cruz was going for more of a historical sounding prose, but it just kind of got annoying and also a little confusing. And I think a lot of readers that maybe aren't at an as advanced reading level might not like this, especially because Melissa de la Cruz is the author of the Descendants books, The Isle of the Lost, Return to the Isle of Lost, etc. I do think a lot of lovers of that series might try to get into her other books, and I do think that if you aren't even if you just are someone at an older age that has a lower reading comprehension level, you might struggle with it a little bit, and so I don't think that's a great thing in a young adult novel, to be kind of confusing for certain young adults to read. And I know that is something with a lot of novels, but just to point out, but I did enjoy the story aspect of the novel. I thought the plot was great for the most part, but the one thing, I don't want to spoil anything obviously, but there is one event, and if you've read this book you'll know what I'm talking about, that happens towards the end of the novel that I just was so disgusted by the handling of this really traumatic event that happened. I really felt as if it was just being used as kind of a plot device. This was an event in which I think that if someone ever goes through this event, then there are going to be either big or small, usually big, kind of post-trauma kind of reactions, or at least feeling upset. But in this, there was really no character moments after it, and it was really just kind of not really written in a very good way, I think. But I could be wrong. Maybe I should read the novel again to really pick, but I'm not the only one that feels this way. So yeah, but I do think that this novel does have some pretty redeemable parts to it, and I do think that you may enjoy it if you do like Hamilton, but I just think it's kind of in that same boat as Snow Falling, which I talked about in my last one. If you don't like the source material, then you probably won't like the novel. So the next book I don't have because I borrowed a copy of it from one of my teachers because I wanted to make sure that I liked the book until I bought it, which I did really like it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I do plan on buying the second book. So the book that I read is Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I know I'm way too late to the Twilight game. I know this novel's talking about books that I'm like way too late to, like this and what was it? City of Bones. I'm way too late to. But I give Twilight a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I can acknowledge that it is not the best book ever. There are some, I do think just in general, some of the writing parts, some aspects of Bella's character in this novel could be more developed, but I did genuinely enjoy it. Maybe I just really like romance novels, and romance and fantasy are two of my favorite things, so them kind of mixed together I love. I kind of have, this was the first vampire novel I ever read, and now I want to read literally every single vampire novel ever. I don't own any other vampire novels, but I want to read every single vampire novel ever now. Edward Cullen, thank you. I was gonna say the part of new favorite fictional character crush was edited out by accident of my mid-year book free account tag, and I was gonna say Edward Cullen, although I don't really actually have a crush on him because I don't really get crushes that much on fictional characters. I just, or at least not really in any of the books. I was gonna say him for that but I do kind of ship him and Bella a little bit. Okay. So I rated it 4.5 out of 5 stars because it's not perfect, but I genuinely enjoyed it. And I think that's really kind of all I have to say about Twilight. So the second to last book that I want to talk about is The Wicked King by Holly Black. If you watch my last recent reads video, you will know that I read The Cruel Prince, and I picked up The Wicked King pretty soon after it got published, and so I read it in April or May of this year, which isn't, like, I waited a little bit to read it, but I did pick it up pretty soon after it came out. And so I loved this novel. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I gave The Cruel Prince a 4 out of 5 stars, so that's an entire star jump. And although I do genuinely think that I more often than not, the second book in the series is my least favorite, this novel so far is better than the first one. A lot of the issues I had with The Cruel Prince, like me thinking that the characters were really annoying, kind of like with the world building, not understanding a lot of it, I really feel like was resolved in it. I understood a lot more of what was going on in the world aspect, and I really did enjoy following Jude's perspective. My hatred of Taryn is still there, but, like, that's, like, she's a side character, it doesn't really matter that much. But I just genuinely like this book more. The ending! I need The Queen of Nothing right now. It is my most anticipated release of the second half of this year, and I need it. I need it. November cannot come soon enough, but then again, I don't want summer break to be over yet because it, like, just started. But, like, November, can't like, the release date get pushed up to, like, tomorrow or, like, today or, like, 5 seconds from now after I film this video so I can go to Barnes & Noble and get it? Please, please, please. I have money to spend on it. Please, 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 please. I just want The Queen of Nothing right now, because this novel broke me into 20 bajillion pieces, and The Queen of Nothing, I think, is the only thing that can rebuild me. Yeah, so I need The Queen of Nothing right now. That's pretty much all I have to say about The Wicked King, because I can't really discuss it that much without spoiling A Cruel Prince. So yeah, you should read A Cruel Prince, even if you don't like it, and just so that you should read this one. And if you didn't like The Cruel Prince, I think you will like The Wicked King more. So the last book I want to talk about is a major unpopular opinion, and yeah, so I read Again But Better by Christine Riccio, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And the reason I call it an unpopular opinion is because even though a lot of people are saying that they're not liking it as an unpopular opinion, almost every single review I've seen of this novel is negative. At least, like, video reviews are negative. So I'm saying liking it, or at least not really having that many problems with it, is unpopular. And just before you all comment below saying, you're biased, you're biased, you're biased. I know I'm biased about Dear Vanhansen, but I really don't think I'm that biased about this book. I like Christine a lot, but I really feel like I haven't been watching her for a really long time. I started watching her, like, more so, like, right before this novel came out. And so, like, it's not like we're, like, obviously I've never talked to her, and it's not like I'm, like, a major Christine super fan. Like, I really like her now, but kind of at the time where I was reading this book, I was just kind of starting to watch her videos and kind of get to know get to know her in that way, because I don't know her, but kind of I was only trying. I can see the similarities between her and Shane, but I'm not like, I don't think I'm as biased as someone that's been like watching her for a long time. So I do genuinely think this novel was great. I did enjoy it. It fulfilled what I thought it would be. It was cute, it was really fun, and it was, I was surprised. I know a lot of people, like, I guess, weren't really taken by surprise by the plot twist, but I was taken surprised by the plot twist. I did not expect that whatsoever, and so I was really excited about that. And also there are some aspects of the novel that I know have bothered a lot of people, and I can say it bothers me too, about Shane's parents and the situation there, but I do think that added to the story because that is a plot element, and I think that kind of kept me interested because I wanted to know if that issue would be resolved. And I do wish that we did get a little bit more of how it was resolved, but I do think because of like time jumps and stuff, it makes sense that like I don't want the novel to be 50 pages longer so that we can see that development. So I get that. So if you didn't know, Again But Better follows the story of Shane, who has kind of been doing college all wrong, and so her parents want her to be a doctor, but she wants to be a writer, and so she goes to England to study abroad on creative writing to kind of help prove to them that she can be an author. I just really loved this novel. I haven't read any like London travel novels, but I kind of want to now. So I'm really excited to kind of like read stuff from Christine in the future, but I genuinely love this novel, and I think that you might if you read it too. Although I know that there are a lot of people that don't like this novel, I genuinely thought it was good, and I think you could like it if you like fun contemporary romance novels. So those are all the books that I have to talk to you guys about today. All the other books that I've read so far this year, I've read within this month, so they will be featured in my June 2019 wrap-up. And so I'm really excited to chat with you all again in my next video. And so thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!